This is Eliza, an American who now lives her life as a practicing Muslim in Germany. On her social media accounts, she shares her life experiences. But Eliza wasn't always like this.
So I've been Muslim for 2 years, and this is how I went from this.
I baptize you, my sister, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Spirit within the baptism, raised to all.
To this.
But how did a Baptist Christian from the United States find the path of Islam and Allah?
So I'm born in America, and I was raised with Southern Baptist Christian beliefs and values. Around 14, 15 was when I started to think a bit more critically about the belief system, the culture surrounding the church, and how I felt about everything.
She also revealed that she had started to lose interest in Christianity when she had started to critically think about the teachings in the religion and how they didn't make sense to her.
What was the Trinity? Who was the Holy Spirit? How was Jesus the Son of God? I thought it meant sometimes they just referred to it as like, oh, we're all children of God and Jesus was just a son of God. But then I came to realize like, no, they actually believe he was God's son. And that was something I wasn't very sure about. I believe that Jesus was a real person and he was an important person, but I never really quite understood how he could be God, but then a human at the same time, but then God's son at the same time. But then like these things didn't make sense to me.
Eliza even shared a story of how she felt isolated during her time as a Christian just because she hadn't been baptized yet.
I remember this time when they're passing around cups of grape juice and crackers that I wasn't allowed to have one because I wasn't baptized. My brother had just gotten baptized, and so he was allowed to have the juice and the crackers, but I wasn't allowed to have it because I technically wasn't a Christian and I wasn't saved. And so I just had to sit there while everybody else was eating their little crackers and drinking their little cup of juice. And I was wondering why, because I had been at all the events that these people had been. I went to all these Christian functions, summer camps, everything. Like, how could I not be considered a Christian? It was very confusing for me.
She has also clarified that although she didn't face any significant religious trauma, she slowly felt herself pull away from Christianity. And she even stopped calling herself a Christian from the age of 15. For the next 5 years, she considered herself an atheist. She was introduced to Islam for the first time when she was pursuing her bachelor's from an international university in Belgium, where she met Muslims from around the world. Although she didn't feel much interest in the beginning, the coming Ramadan would change her life.
It wasn't until one Ramadan that my friends told me that they were going to be fasting and they were not going to eat during the day or drink during the day. And they were just letting me know. And I said, oh, that's really interesting. I never heard about Ramadan. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know what fasting really was. My friends explained it to me and it sounded really, really interesting. I had never experienced or heard anything like that. So I asked if I could fast with them. And of course, they were more than excited to let me fast with them. So during that month, we were fasting and my friends were praying and watching Islamic videos. And I just asked what are the typical things that you do outside of fasting during Ramadan? And they told me, okay, so it's a time of learning. We're supposed to read a lot of Quran. We're supposed to give charity, these types of things. And I said, oh, the Quran, I didn't know you guys had a book like that. I've never read it. I'd be really interested to. And so they were excited to give me a copy, and I just started from the beginning.
When her friend gave her a copy of the Quran, Eliza didn't realize the impact it would have on her. Initially, planning to read only a page or two, Eliza had read through the entire Surah Baqarah and felt it tug at her heart with its simplicity. From that point on, Eliza spent an entire year researching and learning about Islam through Quran, friends, and Islamic lectures.
I would continue to just make small adjustments in my lifestyle, in the things that I was doing, and the things that were around me, the way I was dressing, just also like my demeanor and working on like more internal.
And then came the point where she accepted Islam.
I just thought to myself, like, why am I delaying it anymore? Especially reading like the consequences of dying a disbeliever. I thought, what is the point? I'm so deep. I've already given up so much. Just do it. So I took my Shahada just with one of my friends in a room.
Since then, Eliza has shared many experiences she has had as a Muslim, from telling her family to the dreadful experiences at the airport.
I can't remember exactly who I told first from my family, but I think it was my mother. And she's Christian, and I knew that she would probably be a bit concerned or confused. But at the same time, she had known that I wasn't a Christian at that point. So it's not like I went from being Christian to Muslim, and it was kind of a big shock for her. She kind of knew that I wasn't very fond of Christianity and that I read different kinds of books about different religions, and she knew that I just was interested in all types of different things. Of course, my mom is just a typical American Christian lady, and she doesn't know so much about Islam, or she didn't at the time. And she also had some of the similar prejudices and maybe concerns that somebody who has only heard about Islam. Her immediate concerns were just for my overall well-being and happiness, and making sure this was a decision that I really wanted to do or wanted to take, and that my rights as a woman were still protected, and I reassured her that they were. And after that, I think she accepted it pretty quickly. And she mentioned that I was going to be living a healthier lifestyle, and that was something that she was happy. My brother, on the other hand, he's older than me, but he doesn't subscribe to any kind of religion or religious beliefs. And he basically just told me that whatever I wanted to do, as long as it made me happy, he was happy. And that was kind of it with him.
Her family's response was generally positive. Although a bit hesitant at first, Eliza was reassured that her family supported her decision and cared for her regardless. Her family was open to the idea of letting Eliza convert and find her peace. However, that didn't mean Eliza didn't have to face mean remarks and hurtful comments. Many acquaintances would criticize her decision, which she says were hurtful at first, but she has grown to stop caring about them.
The nice side of things was that it wasn't my family that I had an issue with, but it was also my family's friends that would make comments to them about my decision. And they would bring those comments to me, which a lot of times would be a bit hurtful comments or just really ignorant comments that just, it was kind of useless for them to say. And so this is something that kind of annoys me, which at this point, it doesn't bother me so much anymore.
Although she gets upset, her family has to deal with such comments. She says that this is the reality of life. Another notable video Eliza posted was an airport story that occurred with her after she had started practicing Islam and wearing a hijab.
I put on the hijab last Ramadan, and during that time last year, I took a trip to see my good friend in Egypt for a week. I really wanted to challenge myself to wear this scarf all the way through airport security, because I feel like that was like an experience I had heard a lot about, that if you're Muslim, you're going to experience a lot more difficulties at airport security, especially if you're visibly Muslim. So this was something I really wanted to put to the test, and I wanted to try. Up until I went to walk through the metal detectors, and the lady on the other side was doing this to me. She was like signaling for me to like take off my scarf, and I just looked at her and I was like, no, like I don't have to, and I'm not going to take it off. So then she comes up to me, she's like, why aren't you going to take it off? And I said, because I'm Muslim. I'm not going to take this off, and I don't have to.
Turns out the lady was a Muslim herself. Since Eliza had been wearing the hijab loosely as she was still in the starting stages. She felt the lady was demeaning by telling her what she was wearing wasn't a real hijab. She also mentioned the airport lady had also let another Muslim woman walk through without asking her to take her hijab off.
Especially, she didn't know that this is my second week ever trying to wear the hijab. For me, that was really hurtful, and it was just a feeling that I couldn't get over for the next hour or so.
These were so far the only incidents that occurred with her, and she revealed she has had a smooth process otherwise. From Eliza's story, it is apparent that the ignorance against Muslims is still present in the West due to the narrative that is shown to them. Fortunately, many people are finding their ways to Islam or even educating themselves about the religion.